So in the last two class, we introduced PHP, and from today, we're going to introduce MySQL, and we're going to create the database with a command line. Um, I know there is a way you can use interface to creating database or creating tables, field, all of that. But the goal of this class is trying to understand the relationship between front end and back end with interface of manipulating the database. You probably cannot see very clear what the structure looks like. So thank you, Matt, for sharing that link. You guys can go to that website and to see what they can offer. And so I'm going to continue use the example we did from last class. We create a form in the first class, and then we using the PHP kind of carry the data. It can be entered with the form, and once the form is submitted, the data is carried by PHP and reflect to another page. So that's still kind of reflecting from the server side, client side. So how do we connect to the server database? So this is something we're going to do today. I'm going to first introduce you how to basically creating a table. Each of you already have a database. The database name will be the same as your username on the informatics.mercer.edu server, and that's a database name. Whatever your name is, your first name, last initial, that's your database name. So later on we'll use that. Please remember that. And your password for your MySQL server is going to be same as your virtual desktop or your FTP. So just make it simple. And I'm not going to talk about how to design the database. There is a chapter 7. You can 6 or 7. You can read that. If you get questions, we can come back to that. But I do need you to, when you create a database later on for your project, I do need you to draw the relation diagram, entity relation diagram, to show what's the, how did you normalize the relation to make the database optimized. Okay, so we're going to first introduce how to use MySQL with coding with the command line, and then we're going to use the example, continue use the example we created from form, and this time we're going to use the PHP carry the value from the form and submit that to MySQL database. We first created database, okay, and then we're going to use PHP carry the form or created from HTML to insert that to the database. And then at last, we're going to interact with the database by showing the result back to user after you adding a record and show the result. So that's the goal pretty much for tonight. Okay. All right, so how to access to MySQL, and how to create a database, how to create a table, how to create a query. Query is just like the manipulation for inserting, selection, and deleting, or modify the columns, all of that. Okay. Basic query syntax. So first thing is how to access MySQL really from informatics server. Again, informatics.mercer.edu is a Linux server, so make sure you are everything you type in is case sensitive. So what I want you to do is first log into the virtual desktop. By the way, the virtual desktop interface, I asked Peter to clean that up a little bit so we can get a little bit better organizing to see what tool we're going to use. I'm going to switch to that screen and go from there. I want you guys to follow me to create your very first database, table in your database. So what we do is we're going to create you already have a database and you got a full privilege for the database. You can create tables, delete the tables, and you can create a record, field, or all of that. Okay. So this is a step actually you need to go through, but we're going to do that together. But let me just go through this quickly. Once you get into the virtual desktop, and we're going to use PuTTY to access the server. Okay, and then once you log in, you're going to use your same username, password for virtual desktop to log in to your PuTTY account. Once you log in PuTTY, you really are on the informatics.mercer.edu server. And then on that server, we do have MySQL. And so how to get into MySQL, this is how to get in MySQL. Once you get a command line and you type in MySQL and space, -u means user, and put your username. First L, that means your first name and last initial, assume that's your user, and space, then -p. Okay, this dash and this dash should be same. And then enter. After you enter that, then you put your password in. And once you log into MySQL, then the prompt will change to MySQL then greater sign. And if you see that sign, you get a bunch of the pop-up, then pop-up message, and then you get MySQL on the end, greater sign. That means you already get in the MySQL. Okay, and then you're going to start working with the database. And first thing I'm going to ask you to do is show all the database you have. You should have a basic couple of database probably, and then you're going to use the one you want to use, which is your database with your first name and last initial. I'm just putting here use this as a kind of dummy database. So, and then after that, we can show tables, show columns from tables to kind of show the what we have there. But if you use your you never add anything to your table yet, so when you show there is no record come out probably. Okay, after that we're going to we don't have tables, so we're going to create a very simple tables. We're going to create table names users and with username, user ID, username, first name, last name, email probably. And this is a syntax, create tables and table names, all of that. And then after we create tables, we can insert record in, and then we can select, the information out, okay? And there's more command we can use for doing the modification of tables and changing the data type or, drop a column or add a columns to a table. So there is a bunch of different things. After that, after we created this basic tables, we're going to I'd like you to add in some record, kind of practice how to just put in the record by yourself. And then we're going to create use the old form, maybe create a new and convert that to a new one, and to add some lines of code, and to add a record into the second page, and connect to database, and then show the result. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I'll just quickly go through what we're going to do, and then coming back. This is the very first step. So, there's one thing is in your table, you have to have a primary key. Make sure you get that primary key is going to be whichever is unique for each of the record of your table, right? Okay. Are you all ready for me to show you your MySQL?